Okay, so in the last one we created the head, the legs, and the torso, and we were working on the hand. So we had made, I'm going to hide this real quick, whoops. I'm going to hide this real quick so you can see. We created the hand, but the hand doesn't have either of the fillets. So you can't just do a standard fillet on it because there's not the edge that you need with this hand. So the easiest way to do it is with an intersect. And what the intersect is going to do is take two solids and only keep what's common in both, just like you would say in a Venn diagram, that common point, commonality. So go ahead and you'll extrude this hand to the appropriate height, okay? And then you will place them with one another. So make sure they're both on the correct axes, right? Make sure you align them properly. This extrusion, it doesn't really matter the height, I should say, because you just want to make sure it encompasses the other hand completely, because you're only keeping what they have in common. So you'll hit intersect, and then you'll hit your two pieces, and then you should get a little curved hand. Okay, so that's your hand that you'll use for later, and then you will union it, 1 and 2. Okay, so then you have everything but the arm. So the arm is a little tricky. What I would do is I would create your profile that you have here. Once you have that set up, you're going to need this center line. Now the reason you need the center line is it'll just make it easier for you to do the loft. So I would go ahead and copy this side line and put it in the center. And then I would copy this side line and I would put it in the center of your shoulder, right? So now you have a path that you've created. I would go ahead and just do a fillet on this. 1 and 2. Now the reason you can't do a sweep is because the diameter here and the diameter here are different. So what I would do, okay, so once I have my path set, I'm gonna have to make a cylinder for this length and this length. Okay, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna have to manipulate your work planes a little bit. So I want this to be the work plane I'm on, so initially. So I'm actually going to grab this guy and I'm going to bring my axes over to this so that it's on that plane. Then I'm going to look at it from the front, right? And the easiest way is to go up to coordinates and change to view. So now obviously my view is here. Along the front face of that, I'm going to make a cylinder that follows that path. And I'm going to make it just about that long, okay? So now I'm going to move it back to regular plane, and then I'm going to take my axes again, if it wants to move for me, and I'm going to go from there, and I'm going to move it over to there, okay? Now I want to look at it straight on from here. Okay, so it should be straight on. You can't really see it that well. And I'm going to change again in my coordinates to this view. Okay, so now it should be on that view, and I should be able to make up another cylinder that comes like that. Okay, so it looks a little bit funky at the moment, but it'll all work out, I promise. So let's go back to this plane here. Okay, so now I have this. What you're going to end up doing, okay, which is typically not what I tell you to do, explode your two cylinders into lines, okay? You may have to do it again for the faces if they didn't quite get there, okay? What you're going to want is you're going to want the faces, the cylinder faces there, and then you're going to want your middle circle as well. So this is the larger of the two, and this is the smaller of the two. So what I'm going to do is, if you notice, that one's a little bit short. So if I rotate this one, so play around with it, decide what you think is best for this overall, the overall function of this. Okay, so this one actually moved down too low. That'll happen, but that's okay because you do have a center point on this and you can place it. It's all about making sure that you are utilizing your snaps for everything that you do. Okay, so now I have your basic structure here. And I actually think that I want to move this just a little bit over so it's more in the midline. You may have to turn off snaps so it's not dragging you around. Okay, so that's going to be more in the midline. So now what you're going to do is you're going to loft these three. They should be joined because there's our goals. 2 and 3. Now what's going to happen is it's going to look kind of blobbish, right? But remember, with lofts, you can select it. You'll get this little loft icon and you can change it to ruled. Okay, so now you have a ruled arm, let's say, and it's all joined. So then up here, what you're going to add to this one is a sphere, if it'll let me. And if it doesn't, oh, I turned them off. If it doesn't, make sure they're on. If it doesn't, you may have to change your plane. So now, and that should be what we're looking for. Okay, good, that looks better. So go ahead and join it. Okay, now I want, so this arm now needs to be rotated. So let's look at it straight on. Let's do a 3D rotate. We can do it on this point. Nope. If you notice, that's not a 3D rotate, and it's probably because I'm looking at it straight on. So go ahead, look at it like this, in an isometric angle, and then I want this one activated, and I want it to come straight up. Okay? Now, we know from this location, right, that the distance between the top of the shoulder and the neck, the arm and the neck, are 1.8. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on my body here. I'm going to activate a line from midpoint to midpoint, and I'm going to say 1.8. So then I should have a point for it. So I'm going to move this, and for ease, let's see, I'm going to put that there. Okay, so if you look at it right now, my arm is stuck inside because it's straight, okay? When I don't want it like that. So I'm going to do a 3D rotate on it, select it, and take it from here. Just being very sensitive about isometric. Oops. 3D rotate, select it, pick it from here, and then we're going to rotate it. Take ISO off. Okay, so we need it to kind of stick out a little bit, and you need your hand to be out past the Lego figure if you look at it here, okay? Or I say Lego figure, it's not really a Lego figure. Kind of looks like one, but okay. So it's still a little big, right? It doesn't quite look right. It's just a little bulky. You see how this has a trim? It's trimmed off here. So we're going to do that as well, okay? And then maybe let's go ahead and look at it from here and make sure we're happy with how it is oriented on the body, okay? Because we can always do a 3D rotate from here as well, take it from a different point and rotate it a little bit and see if that looks better, okay? Which it does. I like that better. Okay, so now, initially we're just going to slice along this plane. The nice thing about slices, you don't have to worry about what plane, what points you're on, as long as the angle is right. And I'm going to use the angle of this body. So I'm just going back to solid. I'm going to go back to slice. I'm going to hit my arm, and then I'm going to make sure that I'm on this piece of the body, and I slice it. So now I should just have that. So if I look and I go into wireframe, I'll have this piece outstanding, right, from the body. Okay, so then put it back into conceptual, and now I have this. Okay, so obviously it is not, it falls off. So we're gonna do another slice on this arm, and you can play with it. They all look a little bit different. I would say, oops, I would say maybe a little bit like this. I'm giving myself a reference line because I don't really want much of the hand. The lower arm to be sliced. I really just want that shoulder piece sliced. So it can be a little bit tricky. So I'm going to slice here and see if I like it. Yours, you can decide how you want it to look, because this is just really just creation and figuring out what works for you, okay? So this is more like what we're thinking of, and see how it sliced it. And now we'll clean that up with a fillet edge so it softens it. And again, this one is not written in stone about exactly how much of it we want to be filleted. This is going to be your opinion, okay? And if you go too far, it's going to be unhappy with it. So just go ahead and make that decision and see how it softens that a little bit, okay? So then I'm fine with this. Go ahead and play with it more if you'd like. You have it now to pop over to this side. However, you do need to create the peg for it now. The peg needs to be straight and not at an angle. So what I would do is I would go ahead and isolate or hide the torso, and then you're going to make your peg from here. So you're going to have to make this face your plane. So go ahead and choose face from your coordinates. Click enter. Now on here, you're just gonna make a little cylinder. And let's see if I can get to activate this point. Put it in conceptual, go to X-ray maybe, because you need it to want this one and not the others, okay? So maybe here, make sure it's on the face you want it to be on. Then just make sure it's the size that you're gonna work, that you can work with. So if I do 2.5, that seems reasonable, and then I come in and I do, let's do 6.5 in, okay? Now, I'm gonna make another one because I need to subtract it from the body as well, and I'm gonna make this one a little larger. So I can't remember what I made this one, so let's look at the properties and see. I made the diameter the radius 2.5, okay? So this one, I'm gonna go ahead and we'll just do like 2.6, okay? I'm gonna make it a little bit longer, and I'm gonna make this one 6.6. Okay, you see how it's a little bit different. This one, if you put it in wireframe, you'll be able to grab both of them. So this arm, I'm going to join to my smaller, because that's gonna be its peg. Oops. I'm gonna union this one and that. Done. Okay? So now they should be joined. Okay, so then what you're going to do, oops, didn't mean to do that. If that happens and it gets all weird, you can always go ahead and use your planes. Yeah, sometimes this gets glitchy, so don't stress about it. Isolate and object isolation. Okay, so here. Okay, this and that need to be mirrored over because you need both. Boom, boom. Okay, so then the larger of the two needs to be subtracted from the body. So leave it in wireframe, choose subtract. This is what I'm keeping. This is what I'm deleting. Done. Okay. So let's put it in conceptual. Good. Okay, this doesn't need to exist any longer. So now we need to integrate the hand with this piece. What is our dimension of the cylinder for this? Just confirm it. And let's see if it'll let me. 4.1, so the whole 4.1 is your radius. Okay. So you're obviously going to need a bigger radius here, and what I would do is create a cylinder on this one. So again, we'll use face, cylinder, enter. Now do this, do your cylinder here, okay? So that one's 4.1, let's make it 4.2, and we'll follow it, okay? And let's just follow it all the way through so make it a little bit easier on us later, okay? Now I should have 2 there. Okay, 1 and 2. So then what we'll do is we'll take both, copy, take that face, and put it on your hand. Now, it's going to be all wacky. Just expect it. So 1 and 2, I'm going to copy it so I can leave that one there, and I'm going to place it on that there. Okay, so look. Oops. It's not working, right? It's not where I want it to be, and this is now right again. Okay, so I need this to rotate, and I want both of them to move together, so I'm going to group them so they'll always move together. So I'm going to do a 3D rotate on this entity. I want it to rotate from here. Okay, so let's look at it from this perspective, and let's get it to rotate. So I want it to come off the body at the right angle. And you can always go ahead and do all your measurements to get it there. Okay, so this is probably pretty good. Okay, and then this needs to, again, a 3D rotate to get it to align more with, oops, with the hand. It'll take multiple. Okay, and then just look at the big picture here and try and get it to do what you want it to do in the grand scheme of things, because it can be a little bit wacky. Okay, so that doesn't look too bad. I'm pretty happy with the way it is. Okay, so let's look at it in X-ray. Okay, so nothing's embedded in this arm yet, but we need it to move into that arm, okay? Because this is sticking out too far, okay? So what I would do is on this one, I would create, that's not what I wanted. Look at that. In this one, I would create my line like that. Okay, so that should be your line if I did it correctly. That goes back to your elbow. Then if I take this and I move it, let's see if I moved it into a good representation, good location. Okay, that's still working. That's still working. So let's look at it. Okay. So now I'm going to ungroup this. Ungroup. So I have this and this. And so here I'm going to subtract. This is what I want to keep. This is what I want to delete. And if I look at it, oh, well, I can, that's fine. That's fine. I can do that. So now I should have, just like that, multiple openings. X-ray. So on this one, if I look at it, I have two. I can have this selected. So I have this, right? And then I have that without the hand. Okay? So since I already did that one, I'm not going to do it again. I'm not going to make my life harder. I'm going to mirror this across. Okay? So now it's just a matter of getting the body back together. Okay, so now once you have everything created, okay, you'll clean it up a little bit so you can see everything well. I put it in X-ray, and when you put it in X-ray, what you should see are openings or pegs, depending. So the arm will have a peg up at the shoulder and an opening at the wrist. Then when you select the hand, you'll have a peg at the base of the hand. You should have that for both sides. So when I select the torso, I'll have 4 openings, 2 for the arms, 2 for the base, the leg base, and then you'll have a peg at the neck. Okay, so you should have that all around to make sure you've done that. So arm, peg, opening, hand, just a peg. So then down here, you should just have the 2 pegs up, okay? And you should have that gap, the tolerance. And then again at the head, see I have, this one looks a little different because my opening was created with the revolve. So I have the peg here, but then I have this opening around it here. And you can circle around if you choose to do your shift and mouse button around with the wheel. You can just open up, you can just rotate the single object if it's selected. Okay, so that's basically your figure. Now a lot of times what we'll do is we'll make it a character by giving it different elements or you'll put a face on it, put a costume on it. But for the most part, this figure can be printed. It can be manipulated however you would want to change it. But this is giving you an idea of how tolerances work.